We've got a crowd. Y'all step up on the stage, people can see you. That's right, up here on the stage so folks can see you. They're coming from the rear. All right. Now, look at me because I want to talk to you. How many people have seen Superman? I'm just curious. Have y'all seen Superman? You know who he is? No. The adults would certainly know. Superman's been with us really since I was your age, since I was a child. We all have seen the movie. We all know the story. And one of the things that I want to bring together in this Christmas is, it is a story that parallels the message that we just heard read by all these people in the Old Testament and the New Testament, but it's not true. It's a story about a person who comes from another world. This is Superman, of course. And he comes from the Krypton, or whatever the name of that little planet is. And he enters our world, and he's sort of like us, but sort of not like us. When he looks like Clark Kent, he looks more like us. When he does the cape thing, he's not like us. But comes from another world, not of this world, enters our world, and he has super power. That's why they call him Superman. Now, one of the things he does with all that power that we don't have, an enormous amount of power, is he fights for good. And fights, what now?
Are you talking about Star Wars?
I'm talking about Superman in the book, yes. And he fights for good, and he tries to save people. And in that process, he's sort of the good guy that has all this power, that came from another world, that does this thing. What we've heard in our lessons today is the real deal. And it is also the story of someone that came from another world, heaven, with God, and came into our world, and he's sort of like us, but not. And he has an amazing amount of power, and he fights against evil and fights for good, and he comes to bring salvation. And so when we think about everything you've heard in these lessons, if your mind was not wandering and you actually were listening, think in terms of what you see in the movies is kind of like what you heard in this service is the real deal. Now I want to go beyond that, and I want to draw an analogy about Christmas. Because Christmas is the story of which God comes in the person of Jesus and to dwell among us, but he wants to work with all of you guys and all of us. Now, if you look around for a second, you're going to notice that y'all aren't the same height. Did you notice that? Some of you guys are tall. Some of you guys are not as tall. And you actually are not exactly identical. Some of you guys are guys, and some of you guys are girls. Have you noticed that? So you're different. The other thing you'll start to notice is that you may or may not always get along. Sometimes, particularly Christmas times, there are occasions to have discord and occasions to kind of clash, and you're not always together like you need to be. Let me ask you to sit down for a second. I don't know if y'all can hear this without a mic. But I'm going to hope you can. Christmas, if it'll... All right. Christmas is a time in which the promise was, that you heard in the last lesson, if you were paying attention, is that Jesus Christ is the head of the body, and we're a part of the body. And what he wants to try to do is he wants to take very different people. Some are small, some are big, and some are sort of right in between. But they're all a part of something. But without the Lord really moving and working and pulling together, like the last lesson was saying, to pull it all together, it doesn't make a lot of silence. That doesn't work too well. So, what the image that I want you to hear is this.
Why did we just switch from Superman to Superman?
Because I want to say Superman is the one you see in the movies. The lesson you heard today is the real deal. William, what do you?
Why can't you just call him Superman?
Well, we could, but I'm going to stick with this image. This is, yeah. Now, what the Lord wants to do is he wants to take very different people, big people, little people, whatever. And he wants to try to pull them together and make them sort of one. We're not all alike, but we're all a part of his body. They're kind of like the strings on a guitar that are attached to the body. This is called the body of the guitar. And when you have the Lord's hand involved, something happens that doesn't usually happen. Different strings, bass, and Jesus does this for us. And there's a song we used to sing, it goes something like this. Father, make us one. Father, make us one. That the world may know that you sent your Son. Father, make us one. Now that's kind of nice. And now when you get into Christmas with the Incarnation, there's another song that we sort of want to sing, and it's the one that tells the story. But sometimes when it's Christmas and we're so different, and we don't have a chord, we have what we call discord. So the Lord's hand has to come and pull it back in together, and that's what we hope happened with your family. How many of y'all got in a fight with your parents over Christmas? Uh-huh. And how many of your parents screamed at you over Christmas? Yeah. Well, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is not this. We want to The Lord's hand pulls it back together, and he wants it to be peaceful. Now I want you to sing with me, if you can remember the words, and make it kind of pretty. Ready? Silent night. Silent night, holy night, all is calm. All is bright round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sweet and heavenly dear. How nice it was with all the different strings and all the different sounds working together with the Lord to get something happy, positive, and peaceful in spite of our ability to mess up. So, that's your sermon. The parents loved it. I loved it. You can go back to your chairs, and instead of a sermon for the adults, I wanted to give one for y'all. And hold the thought in your mind. You're connected to the body, and it's the real deal.